going? Good morning, everybody. Honestly, I'm very excited about today. First off, Kathy, thank you. I saw Kathy speak or do a welcome at an event in Scarborough at the Scarborough Community Health Centers a few months back, and your commitment to everything that you do and sharing your message is so beautiful and powerful that, I don't know if you're allowed to be exclusive, but you are coming to every event that we do because I just believe in you so much. Before I get into some other comments, I just want to say we've got an artist here today, a Toronto artist, very acclaimed artist, John Coburn. John, I've known John for about 25 years. John is a big artist he's from Toronto, but he spent a lot of time in New York and in Paris, has a real passion for those two cities. And John did a book called Healing Hearts that was about 9/11. And John stayed down at Ground Zero and did art of different people experiencing their journey through 9/11. And so you can certainly ask John about that experience that he had, but take time to have a chat with John. He's a bit of a character, so be careful. And he also did this piece here that I just want to call out. About 5 years ago, John called me up one day and said, "Pete, I want to do something for GenWell." And that's the piece that John did for us. So check it out. It's really beautiful. And I'm grateful, John, for your support. Well, good morning, everybody. I do have notes. I like to talk from the heart, but today I'm just a little concerned that I'm going to forget things, so I may reference a few notes here. So on behalf of myself and Dr. Kiffer Card, the founder of the Canadian Alliance for Social Connection and Health, I'd like to welcome you all to the second annual Canadian Human Connection Conference. It's so great to be here in the Toronto Reference Library. What a perfect place and space for us to learn more about the power of human connection. In case we haven't met, my name is Pete Bombaci, and I'm the founder and the executive director of the GenWell Project, Canada's human connection movement. And we've been around since 2016, working to educate, empower, and catalyze Canadians around the importance of face-to-face social connection for our health, our happiness, our longevity, and for the betterment of society. For most of those 7 years, we've been sharing tips, tools, and ideas each day on our social channels and our website to help inspire Canadians to start building healthier connection habits starting today. Over that time, we've also developed programming in schools, workplaces, and communities, which we now deliver across Canada to support those leaders who see the importance of sharing this information and connecting their people or communities. This conference has actually been part of the plan for several years, but being a grassroots startup, we had to put it on hold for a little bit. But here we are. Last year, as we exited the global pandemic, we did one virtually, online, in order to bring people together who were part of the solution to the disconnected world that we're in today. We did it through volunteers. We did it through people who gave of their free time, platforms, and people who helped. And that's the power of this incredible community, because we're all willing to give of ourselves to make the world a happier and healthier place. Over the next 2 days, we'll hear from researchers, practitioners, people with lived experience, individuals, government, corporate leaders, and community leaders who all see the importance of this conversation and want to be part of the solution to the disconnected world. I hope everyone in this room is excited not only about learning and growing in this space, but I do think there's a secret recipe in this room today. And I think I've already seen it. I know what I said to Mike Colley earlier, a friend of mine who's in the room. I've known I've known or met 90% of you. And I feel connected to you, and yet most of you I've never met in person before. I met Kiffer Card last week for the first time after 3 years of having him step up and be part of this campaign. Dr. Sandra Allison, everybody on the advisory board that's in here today. If you're on any of either the scientific advisory or the business advisory, can you just put your hand up so people see? Yeah, Beverly Fear, thank you. Heather Palmer, thank you. Kiffer. These are also people who've stepped up as part of building a human connection movement where all Canadians understand just how important this message is. So I do think the secret recipe here today, as it is in many of the conversations and conferences that I get to go to, is giving people permission to talk to each other. You know, the opportunity today is not just to learn in a one-way dialogue, but to step up and say hello to somebody. I'm going to steal a little bit of Kathy's, language, which is just, we need to connect, we need to meet, we need to come together, because when we learn and we bridge gaps between different people, different cultures, different ideas, different approaches, we actually do make the world a happier and healthier place. At this point, I just need to say a few thank yous to people who've been part of making this conference a reality. Number one, Dr. Kiffer Card. Thank you for your endless support of the work we've done. Without you, we wouldn't be here today. All right, that's it. Here we go. Number two, I want to say thank you to Bobby Breckenridge, who is, hopefully is in this room. Bobby Breckenridge. So what can I say about this lady? I was at a conference last week, and I asked somebody, hey, what's it cost to put on a conference? They said, well, about $200,000. And this was a consultant who was one of a team of people working to put on this conference. This conference was put together with no budget, one staff member, and she helped facilitate every detail for every speaker, to get all those emails out. It was all Bobby Breckenridge. And Bobby, did she just leave? There she. Listen, I told you. And so I'm actually really excited and proud to be able to tell everybody in this room that due to some funding that we received recently, Bobby Breckenridge will be the first employee of the GenWell Project. So some other speakers, some other thank yous, just to every speaker, panelist, and moderator who's here today and tomorrow, who've invested the time and your effort to share your work, your information, your passion for making the world a more connected place. And finally, thank you to you. Thank you to everybody who's in this room, because you've taken the time out of your day to hear the work, hear the stories, and hear the efforts that are being made to raise the collective consciousness and action of all Canadians about the importance of their social health and just how important it is for their mental and physical well-being, and the impact that disconnection has on all of us and the society that we live in. We really are in this one together, and the time here is part of the solution to building a more connected Canada. And I'll finish off with the famous words of Desmond Tutu. There comes a point where we need to stop just pulling people out of the river. We need to go upstream and find out why they're falling in. And with that, I'll pass it back to John Brewer and say, thank you, John.
Okay, thank you, Pete. That was great, and it's so sort of encouraging to hear that GenWell finally sort of getting into its stride and getting the support that it so richly deserves around an issue that's finally gaining, I think, momentum. Certainly in the sort of businesses that I deal with. Anyway, we're going to start now with just some brief housekeeping comments before we get going. So that's my slide for housekeeping. I'll use this. It's probably easier for me. Okay, so this is my brief bio that I use for myself, and it's. I believe we need more face-to-face in a face-after-face world. And it seems oddly appropriate here for GenWell Project, where the aim here is I am improving the social health of Canadians one face-to-face conversation at a time. I actually lifted this from Wordsworth, of all people. He has a very long and boring poem that I don't recommend you read, called the Prelude. And there's just one line in it where he talks about going to the city for the first time. And one line ends with the word face to face. And then the next line, which is him in the city, begins with the word face after face. And that seems to be a sort of an ongoing feeling people have about the world in which we live in, and largely sort of urbanly, but pretty much everywhere, that there's something missing, that we're getting contact, but it's not meaningful. It's just face after, and to me, face after face, it describes Zoom very, very well. So anyway, it's just a brief bio that I use sometimes. Now I'm from the UK, so obviously, we need a bit of education before we begin, because you have to understand when people from the UK say things to you, you may think I mean one thing, but I mean something completely different. So, if I say something, it's Pete, that was quite good. I actually mean a bit disappointing, and he thinks quite good. I'll bear it in mind means I've forgotten it already, and other people are thinking, oh, he's going to do that, yeah. So anyways, that's just a brief intro on what it's like dealing with the British. So anyway, this is a few words about today's program, because we've obviously got some great sessions. They're all in here. We don't have any sessions anywhere other than here. We do have a speaker coming in over from outside, as it were, being beamed in. We've got some great stuff on the results from the Canadian Social Survey. We've got a thing on kicking us off around physical activity and connection. The US framework, we're going to be covering that, and around classrooms, government, role of government, etc. And then after we're ending a little earlier today, around 3ish, we do have a social event which I'd really encourage you all to come. So that's just to mention that and give you an idea of what to expect during the day. Now you will get, after we're done here, you will get an email which will be inviting you to provide some feedback to our speakers, which I'd really appreciate you do. I just pulled this from when I was from an old, the ones we used to use where we'd assess speakers on their knowledge of scripture or spelling or handwriting. We don't do that anymore, but we would like your feedback. Now, sorry, I was doing this is a well-being event recently, and it relates, I think, a bit to the idea of human connection. And it's what are some of the things that we do to improve our well-being, to make us feel really well and healthy? What are some of the things you do? John, what do you do? You come to an event like this, that makes you feel better. Okay, good. Anyone else do anything else? Any yes? Tony connects with nature. Right, that's a really good one. Any other suggestions? Get some sleep. Anything else? Lift your head. Look at people, connect, nature. Anything else? Exercise, yeah, and we're going to be hearing about that shortly around physical activity and connecting with people. Well, one of the real things that really does lift our spirits and make us feel better is doing an act of kindness for a stranger, right? So bear that in mind when you're giving feedback on the speakers to us, okay? So I'm hoping we have time for questions from you all when we have speakers, so that'll be an option for us. We'll be using the hand mic. I'll be wandering around with it, and so everyone gets to hear what you have to say. Of course, you're all familiar with the basic human needs here, and in fact, social needs, friends and family is here. This is I forgot it. Maslow's hierarchy, yes. But of course, there's Wi-Fi and battery. We do have Wi-Fi here. There's a connection network in the thing. Does anyone know what else is important for people in terms of keeping them going? Sustenance. No? Anything? It's caffeine. Okay. But not too much, okay? So just a warning to you all. I've already had too much, obviously. So. Now, I did do this to encourage you to, I don't know if they call it tweeting anymore, Xing or whatever it's called, but it's Instagramming and etc. But I put the wrong hashtag in there. There's two hashtags here. At GenWell Project and hashtag CHCC23. So please do take some photos, put them on Instagram, put them on LinkedIn, spread the word that what we're doing here, because it really helps to generate interest and get us even better connected than we already are. Do check your phones, just make sure that you turn them off. You're not going to have any, if your phone's still on, it rings, you reach into the pocket, reach into your bag, you pull out the phone to see who's called you. You turn to the person next to you, and this is what you see. So we want to avoid that if we can. There's a few other slides. We're not going to do anything with this, but I'll share it anyway. It's from the Zimbabwe Friendship Bench. And it's a little piece they share every morning with the people who are doing the... Does anyone know what the Friendship Bench is in Zimbabwe? No? No one heard that? Kiffer knows what it is. Yes, Kiffer, what's the Friendship Bench in Zimbabwe? Yes, yeah. The main activity I see them with is they train grandmothers to provide psychotherapy to because there just isn't the capacity in terms of therapists. But they do stuff all over the world. I think there's a kids bench they have here, which is like a talking bench for kids who need to talk and stuff. But we're gonna breeze past that. Because we're gonna play a game of word association football before we start, right? Yay! Word association football. So what I'd like you all to do is to get out, if you've got a pen and paper, or you can actually use your phone to write if you want. And I want you to write down the word connection at the top of that piece of paper. Just the word connection. I don't want you to do, don't do anything until I say go, okay? Okay. So, what I'm going to give you 1 minute. And I want you to write down the 10 words that you most associate with the word connection. Right? So, wait for it, okay, because you need a minute. So is everyone clear what they have to do? Okay, it's 10 single words. It's not phrases, it's words, okay? So you have 1 minute starting now. Okay, you've got a few seconds left. Everyone nearly written their 10 words? Okay. Does everyone have 10 words? Yes? Okay, here's what I'd like you to do now is you're going to have 2 minutes, roughly, maybe a little longer. I'd like you to share those words that you have with the other people at your table. And I want you to make one list that has every word. Okay? So if you've got 6 people at your table and everyone has the word human, that gets put on the list. Right? But if 5 people have the word human and 1 person has the word people, those are different words. Human and people are different words, right? Yeah? So the idea is every table after 2 minutes will have a list of the words that's on everybody's list. I see some confused faces. So please do ask away if that's confusing. You clear on that? No, if you all have to have the word, yes. So if 5 people have human, 1 has people, that does not go on the list. 6 people have to have the word human. Okay? So you've got 2 minutes to share that list with people. Hmm? Just the word connection. Well, you might have done. It's the words you associate with the word connection. Yes, sorry. There is no right or wrong. It's a make-up game, really. Okay, so okay, so that's roughly 2 minutes. So we all have our lists, right, at each room. So, and I know that you're all, no doubt, hugely expert in the area of connection of various kinds. So, which table has 10? Which table has 10 words in common? Okay, 9, 8, 7. So, who's got any words in common, really? You have what? What's your one word? What's your one word you have? Love. Yeah, that's nice, isn't it? That's lovely, isn't it? Are you sure you all have the word love? Okay, because I have had groups doing this where you have a table with one word in common and actually they're just cheating, you know. But I'm sure you wouldn't, and I wouldn't expose you. But I've also had tables claim they had 10 as well, and they were definitely cheating. Unless they were all clones or something. They're all members of the same cult. So anyway, so the sort of purpose of the exercise, to the extent it has a purpose, is whatever you come to an issue to talk about at a conference. I did an event recently on well-being. I've done things on change, on future of work, pensions, you name it. People come with very different assumptions about what something is, when we all think everyone's thinking the same thing. Having said so what this sort of exposes is, actually, we've all got really different things. But in actual fact, we also have a lot of common ground. So, for instance, the word love. Who else had the word love? There you see. There's actually quite a lot of people with love. Are there any other words people want to share around connection that, you maybe had a few people had? Yes. Presence. Okay. Right. Locational. Motivational. Empathy. Did anyone else have empathy? Who had human? Yeah, you see quite a few of you had human, right? So that's okay. And people, what did you have, Pete? Anything?
The interesting thing is, Ellie and I, Ellie's a naturopathic doctor. She's here from Vancouver. And she had a long list of words, and we almost didn't match on any.
No.
Which is, I'm shocked. But the three we had were love, health, and time.
Oh, so you did have 3. Yeah, the smaller group you have, the more likely you are to have words in common. I mean, as soon as you get to groups of 6, yes, you can. Yeah. So one thing I will do before I wrap up, if I can find I do have a little. There was a little video, little image there. What I typically do with this exercise is these are my darling children, of course. One of whom is very happy and one of whom is a little upset. And I'm not quite sure what it was that upset Jessica, but yeah, she's actually the cheerful one now. She's the cheerful one now. Anyway, what I like to do with these things is I like to find the saddest person in the world. I like to find the person who's most like Jessica, but we're going to skip that because it's a little mean. We're going to find the happiest person in the room. Okay? So you've all got a list of 10 words related to connection. So I need 2 challengers who are going to propose the word they have that's on their list that is just knock it out of the park happy. That is just so good and so happy that it's going to be no one can beat that. Right? So I did this recently someone had the word hallelujah around change. Hallelujah is an automatic win. So who's got a word that's really positive they'd like to share with everybody? And there's a prize for this. You'll start with joy. Okay, you were a little quick there, and that's Tony. So Tony has the word joy. And we have you don't want to do that? We only need one other person. Exhilarating. And your name is? Mike. Okay, so who's going to vote for Mike? Who thinks Mike's exhilaration is better than Tony's joy? Well, I don't. Well, you win. He gets a T-shirt. It is a medium, so if you need a larger one, then you can. We've got a box round the corner, so you do get a thing. Did anyone have any sad words for connection, by the way? Did anyone have any sad words? Did you? Pain. Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else have any? Loneliness. Loneliness. Okay. Okay. I'm going to give loneliness a T-shirt too. Okay. Because you have the same T-shirt as that fella over there. You won't feel so bad alone. Okay. There you go. Okay. So that's pretty much everything. Housekeeping-wise, we've got coffee and the like, and snacks at the back there. Washrooms are through there. There's nothing else that we need to know. Everything's good. So, like I say, again, please do take a photo. Do tag it at GenWell Project or hashtag CHCC23. And that's a wrap. We're going to move on to the actual event now. Finally, we get to some content after I've taken up all your time.